very high priority. I'm going to look very foolish in the eyes of the people and also extremely dishonest. After being in office, one of the things that I don't see to is the senior free high school system. People are going to say that I came to hoodwink them and con them. I am not a hoodwinker, I'm not a con man, and I'm an honest man, and I will make sure that it is done.
Mr. President, my question to you is, are we safe as a people? Are you safe in this office, Flagstaff House, as the President of this Republic? Are we safe?
As far as being safe, you have to ask Husseini, Inusa Husseini, whether we are safe. If you want an example of anarchy, that's it. Or has it been suggested that I got him to do it, or what? I don't understand how that becomes an issue of anarchy or chaos.
Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the program. Tonight, there's only one topic for us to discuss, and it's the President's press conference. In that teaser, you saw the President creating fun and humor about the question relating to security of the country and making remarks about the camera that was found in Peter Ameu's office. To which a claim was made by Inusa Husseini, the former minister and member of parliament, that he put it there. The president took at least 20 questions this morning, or was it this afternoon, at the Flagstaff House. 20 questions from 20 journalists, ranging from, I think from the notes that we gathered, the first question was on Galamsey. It was by TV3. There were questions about the ambulance system and Alfred Woyome that was asked by Captain Smart of Adom FM. There were questions about the size of the government from the BBC correspondent. Kwesi Pratt Jr., it was glad to see, it was delightful to see Kwesi Pratt Jr. at the press conference. And he asked a question about the Sahrawi Republic and matters of ECOWAS. Tonight, I'll have in the studio two Samuels, one from the NDC, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, and the other Samuel Abujidapo is the Deputy Chief of Staff at the Office of the President. When the President was asked about himself, a question was put across from Kaba of Asempa FM about what people think is the president's old self and new self. And he asked a question whether the presidency has perhaps tamed President Akufo-Addo. Here is what the president said.
That wild nature known about the president, Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, seemed to have fizzled out, and you seem to have been tamed by the presidency. Have you been tamed, Mr. President?
Mr. Kaba, a lot of the image of myself that went out was an image painted by my political opponents for their own purposes. And there are people here who are not my political sympathizers, but who are friends of mine who have known me for a long time, who know that there's nothing wild about me, and there's nothing any person practice here. Yes, a man of strong views, and it's difficult for you to threaten me or bully me. I will stand my ground, small as I am, I'll still stand my ground. And if that therefore translates in being wild, then I have not changed at all, because I still stand on my views that I have.
There was another aspect of the press conference that we've made a reference to on radio today. Most of the presidents under the Fourth Republic will attend these press conferences with their ministers of state, sometimes with the vice president, who often add nothing, they say nothing, just the president addresses the press. Today there was something different. President Akufo-Addo took occasion to invite the Attorney General in one instance to answer a question directly related to her office, and also the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, on two occasions to deal with the questions. And after the press conference was over, Mustafa Hami, the Information Minister who conducted the whole event, announced that ministers are available to take more questions. Here is President Akufo-Addo introducing this new aspect of the President's press conference.
These four questions, some of them I'm going to ask one of the ministers to respond. For instance, about the situation about the Attorney General's office. I believe the Attorney General is here. She's here. I'm going to ask her to respond to the question about the strikes and also about the law schools. And Dr. Bawumia will respond about the indebtedness. As far as...
As you would know, at the beginning of this government, news broke out that a vice president's official residence was being constructed for as much as 14 million United States dollars. That's in Ghana cedis, 14 times 4 million of cedis was being applied to construct the vice president's new home. Many people were surprised by that, and the journalist asked the question about the state of affairs of that one. The president said it was the vice president's position to answer the question. He felt that it was jokingly unfair. Here is what happened.
I'm in the vice president's house. The vice president himself is here. Let's give him the opportunity to respond on that.
Mr. President, that's rather unfair. Well, I have not actually visited this house. I've only seen the paperwork, the $14 million mansion.
Big conversation tonight is about the president's press conference. President's Deputy Chief of Staff, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, is in the studio, and so is Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who is the minority ranking member on the Committee of Foreign Affairs, Member of Parliament, Sami Okudzeto-Ablakwa. They are here to help us understand from their perspectives what they think occurred at the Flagstaff House. Media, and especially social media, was awash with various aspects of the president's press conference. Very, very interesting times that social media is giving us. Let's have a look at what social media reported. You will see a few pages that we've clipped up for you to share with you. Some of them quite interesting, sufficiently divergent. This one says, let's not lambast cover of Asempa. To my mind, it is rather the president who answered the questions perfectly and wisely. That's from one Facebooker who put that up. The next one here says that, Mr. President, thank you very much. First of all, I want to commend your government for the announcement that came from the senior minister to the effect that capitation will be done. That's about Kwame Adinkre's question. All of social media was awash with that. But we captured also the introduction of the evening news programs, and there are many evening news programs in Ghana these days. City FM's Eyewitness News was captured by our cameras, and this is how Eyewitness News began. Have a look. It's a 1-minute clip.
It's 5:30 p.m. live from Adabraka in Accra. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM with Umaru Sanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Virginia Tenkra.
Coming up.
The really important thing is your capacity to get hold of the machinery and deliver. My responsibility is to deliver that result. And these are the methods that I've chosen to do it. If I succeed, the whole ball game is mine. If I'm not, the Ghanaian people will express themselves.
President Akufo-Addo mounts heated defense of his government's actions over the past 6 months, including the size of his government. Tonight, we'll ask how he fared doing that job and how the journalist line of questioning went.
That was live from the City FM studios, and all the bulletins this evening began on the president's press conference. That the MPP had claimed that there's money here, that one didn't need to borrow, that there's money here.
Yes.
But Dr. Baumia and his team don't seem to be demonstrating where the money is.
Well, the demonstration is born out of the budget that was read. The demonstration is born out of the policies which have been implemented domestically within the confines of our country, which has engendered confidence in the international capital market, so much so that the finance minister, by a flick of a finger, can raise a bond to support our economy. Macroeconomic stability and positive statistics, which statistical service are churning out, has a direct impact on the livelihoods of the people. Not just that inflation is coming down, interest rates are coming down, or
let me come to Sami.
But that it has an impact on the people.
You are convinced that Dr. Baumia didn't answer the question, and that some of the figures he talked about are actually not correct.
Yes, certainly. And let me agree with the observer who decides to be candid, who decides to be objective, and who does not take the slippery path of my brother Abu-Jinapor in really obfuscating the issue. The issue is the question was not answered.
Within the concept, what was the question?
The question is very clear. And Paul, you will agree with me that the question simply is, you said in opposition that the NDC government, the Mahama-led administration, was borrowing too much and that the money is in Ghana. I remember the Central University lecture by Dr. Baumia. He said, I have been deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana before. I saw the books. The money is here. but loopholes, corruption. Then he lists a litany, Jida, Suba, Bas Brandy, and all of that. The money, Sada, yes, you remember it was, and it used to rhyme those days. You know, those days when they start, you know, Suba, Jida, and all of that. So the money is in Ghana. It takes superior economic management. It takes competence and stopping corruption, plugging the loopholes. You can find the money in Ghana to deliver. And now we are being told all of a sudden that there are two types of borrowing. Why didn't you tell us then when you were in opposition?
But what the vice president did, though, was that he was clear about the differences in the effect of borrowing on the debt to GDP ratio. He seems quite clear on that.
The manifesto of 2016 was themed change, an agenda for jobs. How many jobs have you created in the last 6 months?
I'd be surprised if I could give a positive answer to that question. But I think that if you were to ask me the question in 18 months' time, I'll be in a much stronger position to answer the question, because the policies that we are putting in place, it's all about job creation.
The question is thrown directly to you, Samuel Kujetu, that people want me to ask you that, are you admiring the honesty of the president? Because when you had the same opportunity as Deputy Minister, you told us that President Mills had created by then, I don't know whether it was 6 months, people think it was 6 months into office, 1.6 or 1.8 million jobs.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to respond to this. First of all, I did respond to this question in March 2010. President Mills had been sworn in on the 7th of January 2009. So it was a year, more than a year after President Mills was sworn in. President Trump currently, his first 100 days, he put out the jobs figures, 500,000 jobs. He could do that in 100 days. President Akufo-Addo cannot do that in the first 6 months. He's telling us that another 18 months. I thought we should be worried rather than wanting to, you know, take a dig at me. We should be worried.
President, we should be worried. You don't often find it, but wasn't an African president being honest with the facts that I can't say now, if you give me 18 months, he gives a clear benchmark. 18 months from now, I'll be able to tell you how many jobs, because everything we are doing is about job creation. Don't you appreciate the honesty?
I don't think it's about honesty. I think that it's rather a lack of urgency. That Ghanaian youth who is sitting at home, you don't see a sense of urgency. Yes, that Ghanaian youth who is sitting at home, I was expecting the president would say that this is our blueprint for creating jobs. So far, we are tracking this every month. You can't tell me that let's put the job issue on the back burner and wait for wait for 18 months. If he says that if you ask me in 18 months, then I can tell you. No, so it means that he can't tell you now.
No, he said because
he doesn't know if he's created any jobs.
The president also said that because everything we are doing.
Worrying.
No, he said everything we are doing is about job creation.
That is worrying.
So in 18 months, I'll be able to tell you how many, because everything we are doing is job creation.
That is not satisfactory.
That
certainly is not satisfactory. You're telling us that 18 months from now. So 18 months plus 6 months. It will take you 2 years before you can tell us how many jobs you've created. And you think that it's okay. And rather, let's take a dig at Okudzeto Ablakwa because
he said 1.8 million.
Yes.
When there was nothing.
After one, you can't say there was nothing. We provided justification. Okay. There was a breakdown, a detailed breakdown, which we published in our green book. It's a detailed breakdown.
I like the way you've been animated by this, Sammy. That's very good. Very good.
My friend is
defense of the position.
Paul, my friend is done quite well on this program. He is basically subtly told that, look, these figures, we get them from government agencies. So even if they are incorrect, it's not really my, I don't take the blame. I'm not. So he's basically absolving himself and moving away from the credibility of the figure he put out. So,
but he's also saying that it's not honesty about President Akufo-Addo. It is really putting the jobs on the back burner.
It's quite obvious that he's very much in a hurry to leave opposition and all of this. Otherwise, you can't come to this conclusion. The president gave a distinction between public sector jobs and private sector jobs. And he said what he's looking at is private sector jobs. And all over the world, Sammy, the jobs where you create the jobs is the private sector. That's always been the market departure between us and you people. You don't appreciate that government policy is to spare up private sector participation to create the conditions. Hold on. I'll tell you. You don't get it. You just don't get it that government's responsibility is to create a conducive environment for the Adom-Otcheres to expand their
media.
So what are the statistics?
Hold on, Chief, hold on. To expand their media consultancies and their metro TVs to hire more cameramen and pay them and so on and so forth. That is what is done everywhere in the world. And let me tell you what government is doing to ensure that. Just last week, the president launched a national entrepreneurship and innovation plan and put in $10 million United States dollars as seed capital. The government intends to leverage it to $100 million United States dollars to help people with startup capitals. In America, you talk about. In America, when young people, yourself, when you left the university, you set up a company, you just didn't take off, then you were drafted into government. Because in America, you have a startup capital to build your own company. That's what Akufo-Addo is doing. He's launched a $10 million United States dollars. He's ramping it up to $100 million United States. You left distressed companies because you are not private sector driven. You just didn't get it.
Okay, finally, you'll have the last word as a opposition member.
Finally,
very
finally,
very much in a hurry to leave opposition.
It is not a talk that, as we speak, newly trained nurses have had to be sleeping at the Ministry of Health. They are not being engaged. As we speak, the psychiatric hospital has served notice that they are going to shut down. I would appeal to the new government that they have real challenges. The insecurity, the lawlessness, Delta forces, invisible forces. I mean,
new challenges occasioned by
we have to live with that.
Disrupting court proceedings. We set up invisible forces. We set up Delta forces. We are visiting the mayhem and the lawlessness.
Beyond that,
it's going on.
Paul, you see,
the corruption within the MPP. Daily Post.
Propaganda
corruption will kill MPP.
Now, my friend, my brother's propaganda. My brother's propaganda is not showing up.
That's an NBC opinion.
No, apart from that, his propaganda is not showing up.
These are the real issues set forward to be
but I haven't said that here. Since my establishment, I haven't made any such point. I'm throwing it back at you because
that's why you have been given the opportunity.
You are talking about the things you inherited.
The things we inherited. And you know, classic NDC man, and he can't end without propaganda. He pulls Daily Post and that's all of it. This is
the Daily Post one. I can't take you serious on that.
The truth.
Why?
This is the
you don't do that. You see, it's the same. Why not? It's the same mentality. It's the same mentality.
We won't take the statesman also serious.
It's the same mentality that makes them, the Flagstaff House, leave out Radio Gold at today's program. You don't do that.
No, that was explained on radio by Perry, wasn't he?
I mean, Perry is my good cousin. I disagree with his explanation. Okay. You can't just dismiss Radio Gold and you couldn't invite every radio station. Please, you don't do that.
Oh, but there's a radio station in my village. There's a radio station. There's a radio station.
Okay, fair enough. There's a
radio station in my village.
There's
a radio station in my village called Keniti. They were not invited.
You mentioned Kwesi Pratt.
Yes, I mean,
he was there.
And he had a good time. He had a good time with the president.
But Radio Gold.
What do you have on your iPad? That's President Mohammed's
Radio Gold should have been invited. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, well, that's
the green book.
Your green book. Oh, you're still referring to it.
Why not?
Thank you, gentlemen.